Hey, Frank, is there an indication of how many people we got logged in somewhere?
I'm seeing 90 at the moment.
Got it. 95. Got it. I see that.
95. Ooh, Fernando is with us.
So everybody, while we're still collecting attendees, there is a poll up that you should be able to see. There are 3 questions. If your poll window isn't big enough, you have to kind of scroll down or make your window bigger. But while we're collecting people, we just want to get a sense of kind of the background and experience of people who are on the webinar so that we kind of target our comments and presentation to the audience as best we can. So if you could do that, that'd be great.
I'm wondering if a few people may have discovered they had to do an update this morning. I just logged in with a client machine and I had to do an update to my Zoom client. So that may be delaying a few people joining.
Okay.
Because I thought mine was up to date on this laptop and it's not.
All right, well, maybe we could do some quick introductions while people are still kind of rolling in and drinking their coffee or whatever time zone they're in. So my name's Andy Blackburn. I'm the MC of this webinar. The topic of the webinar is getting started using WeGlide. And so my other role is I chair the SSA Contest Rules Committee. Part of the WeGlide functionality allows local contests to be set up, and so I've been on point for pushing the WeGlide relationship with the SSA, and I'll describe a little bit that in a bit. Joining me is also John Godfrey. John, you want to say hi?
Good morning, everybody.
John has been working tirelessly on a number of projects, including the OGN ground station project, this project with WeGlide, and he also serves as our scoring expert on the contest rules committee. So he's been playing an important role in some of the functions that WeGlide's been working with us on. And then most important, joining us is Moritz Althaus. He's one of the founders of WeGlide and one of the guys who does all the development work in the background. Moritz, you want to say hi and maybe a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So I'm Moritz. Just a bit about myself. So I started gliding about 10 years ago, actually in New Zealand, and been doing lots of gliding since. I'm an instructor at my local club in Germany. And 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, we started working on WeGlide. So I'm one of the 3 founders. Right now, we're around 6 or 7 people working on this. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to today to connecting a bit and telling you a bit about our features.
Thanks, Moritz. So I'm going to kick us off, and where I'm going to start, I'm sharing my screen. I hopefully say something in the comments if you can't see or if I'm going too fast. But I was just going to talk a little bit about where you find WeGlide resources and how you sign up and what you're signing up for. So let me just talk a little bit about that. If you go to the SSA.org website and log in, and so that's what I am here. You can see I'm logged in. And for some reason, this is great. Okay. Let me see if I can make my screen bigger. There we go. All right, I had to make my screen bigger. Hopefully people can see it. There are 2 places where you can get to WeGlide resources on the SSA website. One is in this little box that has sort of latest news in the corner. You can see, as you scroll through it, there are different sort of news items, but one says SSA and WeGlide agreement. If you click on that, it will take you to the SSA WeGlide resources. That won't be there forever. So the other place you go is up to your member, the member menu item, and right down there under welcome your name, it says WeGlide. So if you click on that, it'll take you to a WeGlide page, and it describes what WeGlide is and how you sign up. And so let me talk a little bit about what signing up means, or what WeGlide is, first of all. First of all, WeGlide is a comprehensive web-based tool to help you get more out of soaring. And so it has a number of features that you might see in sort of other web-based applications. And it sort of combines all those together in a really interesting way. So the first and foremost, what it allows you to do is take your flight logs, upload them, replay them, analyze them, and compare them to other pilots. And so you can sort of think of this as similar to OLC, except it's got a lot more analytical capability, sort of the way a program like CU does, and a lot more ability to do replay and comparison. So it's a really, really capable tool. Moritz will tell us more about how that works. It also shares many functions with a lot of social media applications, in that there's a lot of ability to share, to not only share your flights, but comment, upload photos, videos, tell stories, and link to your flights. It has a lot of capability on flight replay, including 2D and 3D photo terrain, real-time weather and satellite overlay. So if you say, gee, I flew to that cloud, but maybe I should have flown to that other cloud, you can actually see what cloud you flew to when you're on your flight in real time, and you can replay that. And then a whole bunch of stuff that you might see in other kind of sporting applications, things like badges for achievements, competitions, stages. So any part of your flight can be sort of judged versus other folks who flew that same leg. And then sort of like the way OLC is, there are regional and national level cross-country competitions that run year-round, starting in October. And then a set of capabilities around live tracking using the Open Glider network. And as a lot of you know, we spent some time this past year deploying OGN ground stations to improve the live coverage. So you can go and look who's flying right now. And then also real-time tracking, task overlays. So if you have a regional, national, or local task that you've set, you can get real-time tracking of that task how people are doing versus the task, and a leaderboard of who's leading at a given point in time. So it kind of turns soaring into a little bit of a spectator sport. And so we've been running pilots of that since 2022. We did it at Hobbs, we've done it at Uvalde and other contests. And it's we're still working out some of the kinks, but it's actually pretty fun. And then you can do flight planning, which includes weather information. And one of the more important things, and we're going to have a separate webinar on this, it's really easy to set up a local task-oriented kind of contest for a day or even for the whole season. It's so simple, you can do it on your cell phone. So you can set up a task and send it to your friends off your cell phone. And so a lot of capability. In terms of how you sign up for this and what we provided for, the SSA has worked with WeGlide to set up free subscriptions. So WeGlide is a free plus premium subscription service. And so they have multiple levels of subscription. If you go to WeGlide, the WeGlide website, and you look at what the plans are, they have a free plan that has some basic capabilities. There's a supporter plan that has some additional capabilities, and Martz will talk about a lot of these, but more sophisticated flight review, high definition satellite maps, statistics on it, so you can analyze your flight and being able to look at different phases of your flight and how you did. So a lot of sort of flight analysis tools. The SSA has worked with WeGlide. We provide this to every SSA member free of charge. So there's no charge for this. So instead of $5 a month or so, it's free. In addition, the premium subscription, which would normally be $10 or $11 a month, is half price. And so that gives you additional capabilities, thermal replay, where it tells you all the nearby thermals that somebody else found that you didn't. You can replay the day, calculates arrival altitudes to airports, which is interesting, and sort of, seeing how many options you had when you were flying. You can create waypoint collections, and most important, you can host local competitions and create flight collections. So the local competition capability, part of the SSA arrangement with WeGlide, is that every club or commercial soaring operation is entitled to 2 premium subscriptions per organization. And so that allows each club to have, to organize themselves around setting up local competitions, whether it's for, a weekend thing or all season long. And we'll get into that. And then there's if you really want to help the WeGlide guys continue to do their good work, you can also become a patron. And so the functions of these different subscriptions are described on the WeGlide WeGlide.org/plans. So back to how you get going. So if you go to the SSA website, you click on the WeGlide link. You just go to activate free account. It will scroll you down and explain exactly what you're supposed to do. So you need 2 things. You need your name as it appears in your SSA membership, and you need your SSA member number. That's all you need to do. And then you go click on this link to register. It takes you to the sign-in page for WeGlide. There's one important thing you need to do. You need to enter a club. I'm going to put in Minden. That is in the United States. And then what happens is a window opens up, a little frame opens up here that says your SSA ID. Once you put in your SSA ID, your first and last name, date of birth, you can pick your gender or not. And then you need to finish your subscription with a email ID and password that you create. Click on all those things and accept. And it will give you the free WeGlide supporter subscription, free of charge, courtesy of your membership in the SSA. So that's basically it. It's pretty straightforward. If you would like to upgrade to a premium plan, you can send an email. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can send an email to info@weglide.org. I'm sorry, info@weglide.org, and ask them to upgrade you to the premium account, and they will. You then need to provide them some billing information, and they'll set you up. If you want to, the last part is, if your club is interested in the premium subscription for doing task oriented stuff, then there's a place you can link. I can't remember where it is. Where did it go? There. There we go. All the way to the bottom of this page. WeGlide for clubs. You click on that link, and it takes you to a separate web page. It looks kind of similar, but it says activate free club benefits, and you fill out your information about your club, and we will get back to you. So Tony Smolder and I are running that operation. And so if you want to get the free premium account, you can do that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to turn it over to Moritz to kind of take us through WeGlide features. And by the way, if there are questions along the way, please put them in the Q&A, and I'll be working on that. And if there are kind of clarifying questions, I'll interrupt Moritz and ask the question on your behalf. But we will have a Q&A at the end as well. So if you have something that just clarifies, I'll make the interruption. Moritz, over to you. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, thanks, Andy, for this introduction. So I'm just going to be sharing my screen. Okay, you should be able to see my browser now. So my goal today is to just go through most of the important features of WeGlide, to explain them to you and to sort of help you understand all the capabilities which we provide, and to help you navigate WeGlide a bit better so you can get the most out of the platform, because we started it 3 years ago and we've been adding features each week, so it's become quite a complex and capable product. So I'm really looking forward to answer many questions and to help you better understand the platform. So let's get started. So I think Andy gave a great introduction. I'm just going to go over one more link where you can find more information if you have questions, which is called the WeGlide Docs. So that's docs.weglide.org, and we have multiple links from multiple sites on WeGlide, which will lead you there. And this will help you if you have any questions about the contest rules, about certain stuff, how to do it. You can head there and try to find the answer there. If you don't find the answer, you can always message us on Instagram or Facebook, or write an email to us. And actually, the first thing which I want to tell you about, you can find that in the how-to. And this is actually the first thing which you should do if you've signed up to WeGlide. Once you've created an account, you can install WeGlide actually as an app. So you cannot download it through the App Store or Play Store, but you can install it as a progressive web application, which pretty much works the same way. And we have a tutorial here how it works on iOS and Android. And once you've done that, you can add it to your home screen, so you don't have to go through your browser to access it. And also, you can turn on notifications. So each time a friend of you uploads a flight, or each time one of your flights gets commented, or you get a new follow, we can send you a notification. So you always know what's happening. So yeah, so much regarding the WeGlide Docs. So if we go to the homepage, this is where I want to get started. So assuming you've created your account, what you can see here is on the left-hand side, you can see the daily best list. And then on the right-hand side, you can see that for me, because I'm based in Germany, I've actually got the daily list of Germany, of all flights in Germany there. And I've also set a daily list for my area in Germany, which is Rhine-Palatinate. And if I click on the arrow once more, for my club. So in this way, I can see the things which interest me the most directly. And the way you do that is you click on Customize here. It will lead you to your profile settings. And there you can select favorite filters. You can select up to 4 favorite filters. So you can see for me, it's Germany, my area in Germany, and my club. But you could also say, well, I'm interested in the United States. I'm interested in whatever club you're flying, or I'm interested in vintage gliding, so you can always see the newest vintage glider flights directly on the homepage. You can just enter it there, and it will show up on the start page. So this is the first step regarding customization. Also, like once you headed to your profile, there are multiple ways you can get to your profile. You can click on my profile here or in the lower left-hand side. There's some stuff going on here, which I'm just quickly going through. So on the left-hand side, you can see my profile picture, my club, and also a small bio, which you can add. And you can change all that stuff by clicking on the settings icon here. And here you can do all kinds of different stuff. You can change your name if it's got a typo, upload a profile picture, a small bio, and you can subscribe to monthly newsletter and all that kind of stuff. And you can also, if you don't want others to contact you via WeGlide, I'll show you how to do that later on, you can turn that off here. Assuming you've already registered, but you haven't set your SSA ID while registering, if you were to just set an American club here, and I'm just going to click save, what you can do now here, so this is actually German club, sorry for that. So I'm just going to type in Soaring Club, hit save, and you can see now that I can, like also in my profile now, enter an SSA ID to activate the benefits. So you can also do that later on after registering. I'm just quickly changing back to my German club. Then also
there was a question, Martz, about what your SSA member ID is. It's the number that appears on your SSA member card. So there'll be an ID number on your SSA member card that they send you every year, and that's the number you put in.
Cool. Also, like you can go to your account. You can edit some basic stuff there. You can select language and units. So we've set up different unit system which you can select, and you can also change your language there. And then we've already gone over customization, what you can do with that. You can have a look at certificates. So each year we have multiple certificates, which you can download in this section here. And then there's also some integrations with Theo and other providers like AlexNav, which you can integrate here. So you can have a direct flight upload. So just going back to the profile, next to the settings icon, you can see a small notification icon here. If I click on that, you can see that there it shows me all the stuff which has happened recently on my account. So I can see who started following me, I can see who commented my flights, and all that kind of stuff. Or if I have commented on a flight from someone else, it also tells me if someone else also comments there. And the next thing in the profile is you have an overview over your flights here, and also you can upload waypoint collections, which I'll go through later on, and you'll find these collections also in your profile. So this is just a place to start for all different things which you can do, and then also you can connect to a glider. I'm not connected at the moment, but if I'm flying a glider, I can connect here. I can enter my registration. Let me just quickly do that. I can select the time for which I want to connect to the glider. I'll hit save, and now if the glider shows up in the live tracking, it will show up with my name. And also, if I have declared a task online, people can see my declared task in the live tracking. So this is really nice for viewers who can follow me along. So much regarding the live tracking. If I'm regarding your profile, if I'm on the profile of someone else, for example, from Johannes, you can see that I'm already following him, so I can't click following here. But there's like a little message icon which I can click, and this actually allows me to message Johannes. So I don't see his email, but WeGlide delivers the message to him, and then he can reply. So this is really nice for getting in touch with people without exposing any privacy information. If still you do not want to get contacted, you can turn this off in your profile settings. So much regarding the flight page, the profile page. So the next thing which I want to talk about is the flight page. So I'm just going to click on this flight from last August from me. And we'll just have a look at the flight page and walk through all the different stuff which you can see, as this is one of the most important pages, obviously, on WeGlide. So on the top, you can see the name and the date of the flight, and also the club which the flight belongs to. These are all links. So for example, I can click on this daily list. It'll take me to all flights from the day. So I'm just heading back. And then the top, it displays all the most relevant information, the points, distance and speed, how long I was flying and where I was taking off. And then you can see those two green dots up here. It's the status dots. So they are green, which basically means the first one means everything is fine with my flight. The data is okay. Nothing appears weird. And the second one is regarding the file. So the green dot basically means the file is IGC valid. We've checked that, so it has not been altered. So if those dots are green, everything is fine. If they are not, you can click on here and you can, it'll display more information on what is wrong with the flight. Below that is the aircraft. So what you can see here is that I've entered the weight which I was flying with, so 540 kilogram. And so WeGlide automatically knows the wing area of the glider, so it can display the wing loading with which I was flying with. So if you want to edit your flight after you've uploaded it, so maybe like one word on flight uploading, this is possible if we're on the start page by just clicking here on the top on upload flight, or you can click on the left hand side on the upload icon, which will also take you there. And after you've then chosen a file, it will actually take you to this page here, where you can edit information about your flight. So you can edit the aircraft type, you can add a registration and a competition ID, and also you can enter your takeoff weight. You also see an overview over the airspaces which you have crossed. And if you do want to delete the flight, maybe you've violated an airspace, you can just click here on the left-hand side on delete. But if you just want to edit it, you will click on save, and it will lead you to the flight. So if you're on the flight page and you need to edit information, just click on the little pen symbol and it'll take you to the edit page of the flight. So I'm just going to click save here. So going further down the flight page, you see here the task which I had declared. I declared it online. I'll later on show you how to do that. And also displays a green dot, and the green dot basically tells you that I've achieved the task, so you can see it directly. Below the task, we have different possibilities to interact. So the pen to edit the flight, and then you can also add the flight to a collection. This is a premium feature, so you can set up different collections. So often people want to sort of collect some flights together, which they find special in a certain way. So you can add this. You can make up a collection which is like special flights for whatever reason. Maybe they crossed an area, or you just found it to be special in certain ways, and then you could click on add to collection. You would choose one of the collections. So you can see here I've defined 3 collections: Winter Wave Adventures, Outlandings, and then one more. And you could add the flight to one of the collections. Then
so
the cloud.
there were a couple of questions. A quick thing, just when you register your glider, you can register it forever. That's one option if it's your glider. If it's a club ship, you can claim that ship for a day if that club ship is registered. For live tracking.
Yes, I mean you can also, I think, up to 10 days or something. You can do it for gliders with which you have not uploaded a flight. But if you've already uploaded a file from this glider, you can claim them forever. And we've seen no problems with this. So maybe we'll allow actually everyone to just connect to a glider forever if they want to.
And then other question: if you fly multiple gliders, do you have to edit the info each time you fly? I assume that means for live tracking.
Yes, you have to do that at the moment. So you, like before the flight, you'd have to just connect to the glider which you're flying. But we are working on making this simpler. So our idea is that in the future, this information is also maybe transmitted by the LX or the device which you're using in cockpit to make it easier for you.
Yeah, you're always working on things. I know that.
Okay, so should I keep going, or is there another open question?
Okay. There may be another question. Anybody who has an issue with their SSA ID, not, I guess a couple of people in real time are trying to register. If you have a problem with your SSA ID, you can send it to info@weglide.org. They'll transfer it out and they'll get back, with the SSA. If you're a brand new member, we don't update the membership list on a weekly basis. We do it on a monthly basis, so there may be a little bit of a time lag. If you're really eager, just send an email to that address.
All right, so we've got the cloud symbol here, which allows you to open the flight directly and see you if you want to do that. Next to that, if you click on that, you can, on the download icon, you can download the IGC file. You can do that on every flight. There's no limit. The data is freely available. And here we also have an option to share your flight, which you can click. And then on the heart symbol, it allows you to like a flight. So if you enjoyed it, you can sort of give a thumbs up, and the pilot will see that. And next to that, you can see some profile pictures of people who've already liked the flight. So if you click on that, you can actually see the whole list of people who've given a like. Below that, you have the ability to write a comment. You can not only comment on your own flights, but you can also comment on flights of other pilots. So these are the sort of basic interaction possibilities. If we go down one menu further, we are now getting to the interesting analysis features. So the first one is satellite images. I can just click on that, and it will basically load the satellite pictures for the whole flight. This is courtesy of SkySight, so these are really good. These are satellite pictures for which SkySight is processing, and then you can scroll through the barogram, and the satellite pictures will adjust, and you can see them at every stage. And I think it's quite interesting, especially for this flight. It's in Germany, so you probably won't know the area, but it's really nice to see that, like in the southeastern part of the flight, there are nice small cumulus streets developing, but then you also got this sort of area from the northeast, which is closing in. And also, like in the evening, this is 4 p.m. locally, you can see that the clouds are sort of drying off, and I was really struggling to get home. So I basically turn them on every flight and just have a look, because they show me how the weather was. Let me turn them off again. Next to that, on the right-hand side, you have the coach. This is a very new feature, and the coach sort of is a new wrapper around the face analysis. The face analysis is also a feature which is already included in the supporter membership. So everyone who's got an SSA ID has got the face analysis for free. So I'm just going to click on the coach. And what the face analysis, which is one part of the coach, does is it finds all thermals and attempts of your flight and displays them. You can see that in the barogram. So you can see some green areas here, which are thermals. And you can also see that if I hover above one thermal, there's more information on top of the barogram showing up. So you can see the length of the thermal. I was for almost 5 minutes in this thermal. You can see the number of meters which I gained in the thermal, 661. The average climb in the thermal, how fast I was flying, 115 kph. And then also next to that, on the right-hand side, you can see my circling radius of the thermal, which is 94 meters. So I can just go through the barogram and see all the different parts of my flights. If I do not hover above a thermal, but above a glide segment, it also displays some more information about this glide. So you can see this glide was 37 kilometers long. You can see how much altitude I lost, what glide ratio I achieved, which was 63, how fast I was flying, so 156 kph on average, and also the detour, which I did, so 114%. meaning that the track which I was flying was 14% longer than if I would have been flying straight between the two thermals. Also, if you zoom closer in, you can see that the part of the flight which I'm hovering about is marked on the flight track as well. So the glides in black and the thermals in green. So like the information is also displayed there. So if I zoom in a bit closer, you can see here I had a thermal with an average of 3.5 meters per second for 400 meters. But it also shows this small circle here in red. And this is what we call an attempt. So an attempt is a thermal where you didn't really gain altitude, or where you just did one circle and the climb was not good. And these attempts are displayed in red on the map, but also in red on the barogram. So if you see many red vertical lines in the barogram, for example, in the end of my flight, you can see lots of these. I'm just zooming in the barogram right now, of these red areas in the barogram. This will basically tell you, okay, the pilot was really struggling to gain altitude there. He tried a lot, but he didn't really gain altitude, which is basically what happened on this flight. So the weather got really bad, and I was just trying to get home and just looking for any climb possible. So this is phase analysis, and I'm just going to talk about the coach, which we've added recently, which is a new feature.
And
so
what's
the
the question? A couple of people have asked, how far back do you guys archive the weather satellite imagery?
Yes, so sadly, we don't have the archive for like dating back forever. So I think it started somewhere like beginning of 2022 or something. I'm not quite sure though. I would
Do you
need to check it
intend
myself.
to keep it for some period of time?
Yes, so our idea is to keep it forever. We are looking into storage costs, so it might be that at some point, at the moment, we are storing a 5-minute resolution, and because the resolution in the US is really like a lot better than in Europe, which is really nice. You can see individual clouds, but also it's lots of storage costs. So we might cut it down to like a 15-minute interval at some point for really old flights, but we do want to keep it forever. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so going back to the coach, the idea behind the coach is that like WeGlide at the moment gives you lots of numbers about your flights, but it doesn't really tell you like up until now what you should be doing differently. And the idea is that the coach is like it scans your entire flight, and it gives you tips on what you could try to do differently to achieve better speeds. So one area of the coach is speed to fly analysis. So like for each part of your flight, we calculate the indicated airspeed which you're flying with. So we use our wind information, which we calculate. So part of the phase analysis is the wind icon, which you can see in the lower right-hand side. And you can see if I scroll through the barogram, the wind adjusts, and you can see the wind at any part of your flight. So we use the wind information to calculate your true airspeed, and then use your altitude information to calculate your indicated airspeed. And then if you have entered the weight of your aircraft, we have the polar data for all aircrafts. And we also know what thermals you took in the flight. So what we can do is we can like use this information to calculate what the optimal speed for you would have been to fly between thermals. And then we compare that with the speed that you were actually flying with. And by doing this, we can tell you if you're flying too fast or too slow between thermals. So in this case, you can see my indicated airspeed was 145 kph. This is over the whole flight. And the optimal airspeed was 165 kph. This also takes in account the netto air mass movement at every point of the flight, and the average netto air mass movement was 0.69 meters per second going upwards. So the coach here tells you, well, you're flying too slow. I'm already in the red area. There's a green area where it's optimal, then a yellow area where you're like a bit too slow or a bit too fast, but I'm like actually flying too slow between thermals. So this is valuable information for me, because it tells me I need to fly faster. I can also click on reading example, and it'll like tell me all this stuff which I've just explained to you. So it tells me, okay, fly faster between thermals. The interesting thing is that this actually adjusts to like different parts of your flight which you select. So if you say, okay, well, this is for the whole flight, but in the end it got really bad, the weather. I was just trying to get home. You can just select the sprint contest down here, and like the whole analysis will adjust to the sprint contest, so the fastest 2 hours of my flight, which were down here. So it tells me even in this part of my flight, the netto air mass movement was better, so the weather was better, 1.1, but I was still flying too slow between thermals. The other options which I have is I can, if I go back to the free contest, I can actually select a leg, so the first leg or the second leg, and then it tells me, like it analyzes the leg and tells me all information about that point. So you can see, like, for example, on my third leg, the weather was really good netto air mass movement, but I was still flying too slow. And also, if you hover above a single phase, it will also adjust to that single phase. So you can also analyze different parts of the flight. And below the speed to fly analysis, you can see in what areas, like what speed areas you spend most of the time. So over the whole flight, I spent 23 minutes flying above MACD 3, which is for my aircraft in mass above 178 kph. And then we calculate these vertical bars, which again are based on the optimal speed to fly and show you how much time you should have spent in this area. So what this tells me is I'm flying not enough times above 178 kph, and I'm flying too much time here below 133 kph, which corresponds to a MACD of 0.5 for my flight.
Hey, Morris, so, 3 questions. There's a question about climbing while cruising and how that gets calculated. And then do you adjust for density, altitude? And then last, how do you define what a leg is in a flight?
Okay, so first question, yes, we take the netto air mass movement into account. So the speed you need to fly depends on your altitude, on your aircraft, on the mass, on the value of climb you expect, but also obviously on the netto air mass movement. If the air is sinking, you should be flying faster. If the air is rising, you should be flying slower. So we do calculate this into account. And then the second question was,
you asked about well, I think you answered the density altitude one. How do you define what a leg is?
Okay, so a leg for the free contest, we do a 6-leg optimization. So we try to find 7 points in your flight, and if you draw straight lines between these 7 points to optimize the length of the sum of these straight lines. So the leg is basically just a connection between the optimization points. Does that make sense to you, Andy?
Yep. And then the and if there's a local competition task, then it would do it for those that declared task.
Yes, it would adjust for the local competition. So I could also, if I had declared a task here, I could click on task and then would do that for the task. That's right. So the second feature of this was speed to fly analysis, but we also do a weight analysis. So we know at what weight you were flying, which was 540 kilogram. But then we sort of run many simulations of your flights with a different weight, where we take into account how your glider would perform differently if you're flying heavier, how your radius while circling would increase, how your speed, how your sink while circling would increase, and then we try to find the optimal weight and display that for you. So this will basically tell you if you should have taken more water with you or if you were flying too heavy. So you can see here for my flight, I could have taken like a bit more water and I would have been a bit faster. And also, like if I click on the sprint contest, you can see for these fastest 2 hours, the optimal weight would have been 600 kilogram, which is the maximum takeoff weight. So we stop there. And you can see that if I would have been flying at 600 kilogram, I would have been roughly 3 kph faster. So obviously this is just a sort of a numerical guess, but it definitely tells you the right direction if you're flying too heavy or if you're flying too light, but it doesn't tell you if you should take 5 kilogram more or less with you. So this is, yeah.
2 questions about whether you accept Condor flights.
We do not accept Condor flights. This is because WeGlide is basically a platform to share your gliding flights. So it's important that the information in WeGlide is clean. So if we detect counter flights, we do delete them.
Okay.
And then what the coach also does, it sort of checks your flight for other common errors. So you can see here the one in yellow on the top, which is a personalized tip. So if I click on that, I can see try to fly faster between thermals. I've already knew that. But it also looks, for example, on different climbs. If I hover over one climb, you can see on the left-hand side where we had this speed which you're flying with first. We've now in thermal analysis. So you can see like on the bars how the climb rate changed with the altitude. So you can see the climb rate was best in the orange segment closer to the top. So if like a common mistake for beginners is that they stick too long with the thermal, it gets weaker on the top, and then they stick with it and do one more circle and one more circle, and they should have already left. And if we find that for many thermals, we also tell you that you should be leaving thermals earlier. And then we also have analyzed many thermals from Germany and the whole world for the radius which people were flying with. So we can have a look at your radius. You can see it on the left-hand side that this thermal was with 122 meters radius, and you can also see the bank with which I was flying. And if your radius is like really big, this is also like from my experience as flight instructor and error which many people make in the beginning, that they are not flying steep enough and tight enough turns. We can also tell you that. So this is really a feature aimed at beginners to sort of help them get better quickly. So much regarding the coach. If there are no questions, I would go on. Cool. So I'm gonna hit on the next feature here, which is day replay. And what day replay does, it loads all the gliders from the same day. This is a very popular day in Germany, so there's lots of different gliders, so it takes a bit of time with my bad internet connection to load them. And it displays all these gliders on the map. So if I scroll through my flight, I can see all the different traces of the many hundred flights which were flying on that same day. And I can also zoom in closer, and then I'd see the competition sign of the different gliders. And I can also add some labels here. So I could select MSL to see their MSL altitude, AGL. I could select climb to see if they are climbing. And I could also select KMH for 1 hour. This will show you like the kilometers which they did in the last hour. So maybe this is a good time to actually explain this metric. If we look at the barogram, you can see we display different information. We display the altitude here, the altitude above ground level, the sync, and the speed which like at every moment of your flight. And then on the right-hand side, you can see this number, which is like 95 kilometers per 1 hour. And this is exactly the same. This will tell you how many kilometers I flew in distance over the last hour. So I always use this to find the best spots of the flight. So if you scroll over the barogram, and then you can see here, like, I'm just turning off day replay quickly, and you can see like here in the like middle part of my flight where the weather was really good, I have like 155 kilometers per 1 hour. So the weather was pretty good, and this was the average speed which I achieved. And we also corrected by altitude. So if you are a lot lower than 1 hour before, we sort of take that into account to adjust this. So it will like if I go over a climb, this value will like not decrease over the climb because you're not making like any distance. But if it's a good climb, it will actually increase because your like compensated speed is actually increasing. So much regarding this feature. We talked about day replay, which displays all the gliders on the map. And then there's also thermal replay, which you can click on. And this loads all thermals from the day, and it displays them as you scroll through the barogram. This is, of course, especially working nicely if there were lots of flights from the same time and area. And it displays stronger thermals with bigger circles. So if there's like a 3.5 meter thermal here, it will get displayed bigger than a 2.7 meter thermal. So this allows me to scroll through my flight, and I can look on the thermals which I took and compare them with other people. And if I was struggling somewhere, for example, I told you in the end the weather was really got worse, then I can just scroll in and have a look if some other people manage to find good climbs. But as you can see here, if I just go through the flight here, like all the thermals which are appearing are also very weak. So this allows me to compare how I was doing compared to with other people. And then the last analysis feature which we have is arrival altitude, which regards the question, like at one point of my flight, like for example, here in the beginning, like how high would I have arrived at certain airports. So you can see like here that there are like all the 5 airports are marked in green, which basically tells me I would arrive with at least 200 meters of safety at all the airports. And also on the left-hand side, you can see like for each point, the number of airports at which you would have arrived with more than 200 meters. So if like, I mean, this works really well in Germany because there are lots of airports, but yeah, if there are not many airports and maybe you're a bit further away, then they will be marked in yellow, which means you will arrive, but lower than 200 meters above ground level, or they're marked in red, which means you're arrived below 100 meters. And we do use an altitude, a glide ratio for each glider calculated with the polar data. But if you know that your glider is also performing worse, or you know there would have been a lot of sink, you can adjust that here. You can enter 30, for example, and then you can see for each point how high you would have arrived at each airport with a glide ratio of 30. So this is arrival altitude. Are there any questions at the moment, Andy?
Some very nice comments. This is like impressive. So people are asking about how can you add airports, what MacCready do you use for arrival altitude?
So from arrival altitude, we use MacCready 0.0, but we are thinking about also not only changing the glide ratio, but for people to also enter a MacCready.
Yeah, and data can be showed, and all the units in WeGlide are set by your preferences when you set up what units you want, so it'll change everything over.
Yes, so I apologize if these units are confusing to you.
Just pretend they're in feet and pounds and things.
Yeah, so sorry for that. So regarding the statistics, so moving away from the analysis features, you can see the statistics which we calculate for your flight down here. And they are for different contests which we evaluate. So the free contest we already talked about, that we try to find 6 legs and fit them into your flight, so for the maximum distance possible. We also have a sprint contest, which is the 2 fastest hours of your flights, and you're allowed to use 3 legs, so 2 turning points for that. So this is down here for my flight. We also calculate the biggest triangle of your flight, so you can see how the triangle fits in here. We calculate an out and return for your flight. So I did 462 kilometers out and return, so 230 kilometers in one distance. And then also this is the German national competition, which is displayed here. So for certain countries like Germany, France, Australia, Poland, and others, we have national competitions, which we also display here. You see some basic information here, how the points are calculated. So the free contest, you get some points for the distance. These are compensated by your index. So if I have 796 kilometers, they are sort of divided by my index, which is 1.19. You can see that up here. And then these are the points I get for the distance, the 668 points. And then I also get a bonus for the triangle. So you can easily get a triangle bonus or an out and return bonus, depending on what is bigger. But if you want to know more about that, you can also find more information regarding that in the docs. And also, if you click on the question mark here, it will directly take you to the corresponding site in the docs. If I select more statistics here, it will show me all the statistics for my flight, and these are also grouped by leg. So if I click on the first leg, it is marked on the map, and I can see different statistics for the first leg. I can see the distance, the speed which I managed, and also the wind speed and direction. I can see the thermals which I had, the time which I spent thermaling, so 12.8% of my time, and the average climb rate which I achieved. I can see how many attempts I had on that leg. So I had 2 attempts, how much of my time I spent in attempts, and what the average climb rate in my attempts was. I can also see how fast I was flying when circling, 118 kph, my turning radius, which is 110 meters on average, and how steep I was circling, so at 45 degree. And then I also see my glide ratio and the average detour, and how fast I was flying while between thermals. And I also see the distance of the average glide. So I was on average flying 18 kilometers between 2 thermals, and also the average speed I was flying in rising air and the average speed I was flying in sinking air. So these are all the statistics. I can cycle through different legs to see them for different legs. And in bold, they are marked for the whole contest on the bottom. And obviously, they also adjust. If I select the sprint contest, I can see the statistics for the 3 legs of the sprint contest. Below that, we have the wingman section. So it will show me all the people which I met on that flight, which were 24 people, and it will show me how long I met them for 9 minutes. I can click on the people, and then I could say compare, and it will load both flights, and then I can compare them and see what decisions we made differently. I'm just going back right now, and I could also click on open flight, which would open the other flight. If I want to compare my flight with somebody who I did not meet, but who was also flying from that day, I can just enter the name here. It will automatically filter only for pilots which are flying on the same day. And then I could hit enter and compare my flight with his flight. So this is wingman. And below that, we have the images. This is a bit confusing because I uploaded a screenshot of me using WeGlide Live in flight for the satellite image. But you can also upload like pictures which you take in flight, and you can write a small comment. So if it's your flight, you will find this section here, drag images here to upload, or click to select. And then you can click there and you can select any image you've taken to upload it and to share it with different persons.
Question about the coach when viewing other people's flights. Can you use that?
Yes, you can use it for other people's flights, but you are limited to flights where the people have set their weight, because if we do not know the weight with which people were flying, we cannot do this.
So if they've input their takeoff weight, then you can see their coach results.
Then you can see the coach. So you can only do that if they have entered their takeoff weight.
A question about comparing your statistics to other competitors. I think you're going to get to that.
Yep, I'm going to get to that later.
Can you use this app in flight? Remember to look out the window.
Yeah, so I do use it in flight for the free satellite images, and also to see where other people are. You can see here that in flight I used the filter on my airport to only see all the aircrafts which I've taken off from my airport. So I always know where everybody is. I can contact them, ask them how the weather is, where they are flying. So this really helps me to keep the overview in flight.
Yeah, a question: does the program warn when your position and altitude requires you to go to an airport? It's not. It's really for analyzing your flight after the fact, mostly. Although,
yes, it is. So it's not a navigation device.
It's not an in-flight computer. Can we share turn points along with tasks, or does each person have to upload their own waypoints? Anyone with a premium subscription can create a waypoint collection and share it with other pilots. Correct?
Yep. So maybe we can have a small look at the task planner later on.
Okay. How are tasks?
Cool.
We'll get to that. Yeah. All right. There'll probably be more questions. A lot of people, a lot of questions. So I'll try and filter a little bit and bunch them together.
Cool. So now we've looked on the flight page, and now I'd go to in my opinion, the second most important page on WeGlide, which is the list of different flights. So if I click here on the flights on the left-hand side, I can see all the flights in WeGlide ordered by their date. So we can see the most recent flights on here. And you can also get to this list if you click on home and you select daily best. You obviously you're getting to the daily list of flights. You can also bookmark that. It's got the scoring date today up there. And you can see here on the right-hand side, we have the date picker. So you can see the number of flights from that day. It says today, and you can cycle through days, go to yesterday, the day before that to see the daily list of flights. You can also click on there and you could say, well, I want to see all the flights from like not only one day. So you can select different dates here and you also see the number of flights for each date. But you could say, okay, I want to see all flights in a given range. And then you'd click on range and you select 4th of October to 11th of October. And then you would see all these flights from this range. And then you would say, okay, what I want to know what the like best flight in that period would be. And then you would say, okay, I'm not ordering by date, I'm ordering by points. And then you see in this period, we have 1,100 flights and you can order them by points. But you could also choose a different ordering, like order by distance, by the speed achieved, or by likes. And also you could say, I'm not interested in the free contest and the 6-leg optimization. I'm only interested in the fastest 2 hours in the sprint contest. So who flew the fastest sprint in that time, and you would see the flight here on top. So this is range filtering and day filtering. And you could also say, okay, I'm interested in the whole season. And then you could say in the 2023 season of WeGlide, who actually did the highest point flights in sprint and also free flight. So you could see here the flight from Gordon, the 3,000 kilometer flight was the highest ranking flight in that period. So I'm just deselecting season right now and just going back through to the day here. So we've gone through the date filtering, and you can use the search bar up here to type in whatever you want to type in. So you could search for like persons, for example. If I'm just having a look at my flight, I would select myself here. Obviously, we still have the date filter, so there's no flights from me on that day. I'm deselecting the dates filter. And now I see all my flights ordered by points. I could say I want to see the most recent. Okay, click on order by date, and you can see my most recent flights here. And then you could say, well, I'm only interested in all my flights which I did from a certain airport. So I could enter Bitterwater in Namibia. You'd click enter, and then you would see my flights from there. And you could say, well, now I'm not interested in the flights of myself, but from everyone. So you deselect this filter, and now we see the most recent flights from Bitterwater. And then you could say, okay, who from my club is currently flying from that airfield. So I would enter my club, which is Aero Club Nachstetten. And then you can also see who from my club is currently flying from this airfield. So you can add these filters together however you want to. Importantly, if you enter 2 filters from the same kind, we'll use both filters. So if I would say I want to see all flights from Bitterwater and then also from my home airfield in Germany, it will display all flights from both of these airports. But you can like not only enter like airports, you can also enter whole countries. So I could say United States, or I could say Arizona or something, and then it would deselect United States. It will show me all the recent flights from Arizona. So these are the basic filtering options, but there are lots more. So I'm just going back to all my flights to show you. If I click here on more, you can see all the different filter possibilities which we have. So you can click on juniors to see all flights of juniors. Similarly on women to see all flights from women. You can click on vintage. So if I click on vintage now, you can see all the flights which I have done with vintage gliders. I'm just deselecting that now. Going back, or you could say I only want to see flights with pictures and click on pictures. Or you could say I want to see all the flights without landings. If I click on that, you can see that it's been a couple of outlandings over the years for me. Just deselecting that again. I could select team flight, for example, to see the flights where I was flying most of the flight together with somebody else. But you could also say, okay, so I'm interested in the self launches, which I did, or the tows or the winch launches. You can select that to also apply this filter. So we also filter by start kind, or you could filter for competition class, open class gliders. Just having a look if I've flown some open class gliders, or you could say have a look at fast gliders. So I've been fortunate to fly the DG 1000E. So just even more filter options. And also we do check for circumnavigation of big airports. So I could say Frankfurt, for example, and then you can see all my flights which have circumnavigated Frankfurt. So we do have an internal list of airports which we check. So we only do it for major airports, but if you think there is a major airport in the States which we should add, you can just email us. And also you can filter for registration if you put that in. So I could filter for all the flights with a third aircraft with which I flew. But you can also say, okay, I want to see all the flights which were between 800 and 900 kilometers in distance. So which is only this flight. Most of these filters you can also type in. So I could also type in greater than 500 kilometers or something to select. Let me just do that again to select this filter. So I think these were the major filter options which you have on the list. So like every time you are on a certain list, for example, I'm just going back to selecting all flights from myself with this gliders, which is 11 flights. You could, like in the lower right-hand corner, you can now click on map, and we'll take all the exact flights which you just had on the list, and we'll display these flights on the map all together. So you can hover on different ones to see them highlighted. Yeah, and you will see more information on the right-hand side. Or you can click on gallery, and then you would see like a different view of these flights, also with pictures. Are we having any questions at the moment regarding the list, Andy?
There was a question about, can you search for yourself in the rankings page so you don't have to scroll through the ranking list? So there's a question about that. And I did want to clarify, when you pick a club to register for WeGlide, it doesn't check if you're a member of that club. It just needs to be a club in the US. So any club will do, hopefully your club, but make it one close to you is probably a good one. And then if you want the premium, you can actually go through and sign up for the premium online. You'd have to go to the WeGlide page and go to plans and upgrade to premium. You don't have to necessarily send an email unless you're already a WeGlide subscriber. If you need to upgrade your account, you're already a subscriber, you will get a rebate for what you've got left in your subscription. Correct, Moritz?
Yep, that's correct. So a couple of minutes ago, we talked about comparing statistics to other flights. So you can not only select map and gallery, but you can also click on statistics here. And what's happening now, this is a feature which is also included in the supporter package, which all of you guys get for free with the SSA benefits. You can see a comparison of all the statistics of the free contest here from all the flights which I filtered. So I can see where I needed many attempts. Here, for example, you can see like on average, the average is again on here on the bottom in bold. I need 1.3% of attempts over all the flights, and then I could look for outliers. For example, on this flight, I needed I had 2% of attempts. I can also, if I have a look on the thermal column here, I can see the percentage of time I spent thermaling. I can see the altitude gained in each thermal, which is here 345 meters, and the average climb rate at 2.4 meters per second. I can see thirtling statistics, how fast I was thirtling on each flight, the average circling radius 149 meters here, and how steep I was circling. And I see more statistics here. And we built this feature because, like all the statistics, they basically only get interesting if you can compare yourself to others. So for example, if because we were talking about my flight from August last year. If I just click on that date here to add that to the list, and I'm deselecting myself to see all the other flights. So I now see all the other flights from that date, which with this glider. But for comparison of statistics, maybe it would be interesting to see all the other flights from Germany from that day. And then I would say I'm flying 18-meter class, so maybe I'm just like selecting 18-meter class. And you can see this is lots of flights here. So maybe it makes sense to just take into account flights which were longer than 750 kilometers. So now I'm down to 20 flights in the list, which I can compare to myself. And my flight here is marked in blue in the middle. And what we do is we do some coloring of numbers. So if you're particularly bad, if you're like in the lowest quartile of the performance regarding some statistics, you're marked in red. But if you belong to the best group, you best 25%, you're marked in green. So what you can see here is now like the speed which I achieved was actually quite good, 123.7 kph for the whole flight. But I used lots of attempts. So all the other person, like the average of attempts was like 10 attempts and 1.3% of time spent attempts, but I was at 1.8. So maybe this is something which I should work on to try to find thermals better and to not use so many attempts. But if we go one column to the left, what you see is my circling is actually like I think quite good. I'm not circling like too much time, only 12.8%, which is like well below the average of 21.3%. And I also had some good climbs. This is marked in green with 2.5 meters per second. So it maybe also is due to the glider, which climbs quite well. But I mean, this is so you can compare yourself to others there. And then also, if you go one column to the right, you can see my training radius is like well below everyone's else. So I'm down to 110 meters on average, and other people are like at 170 or 134. And this is interesting because at the same time, I'm also like not flying too fast in thermals. So maybe I can actually take more water ballast with me to try to fly faster, because like I can probably manage to climb a bit wider and still be okay. And then you could also compare your the average glide ratio with you that you achieved to everyone else, and the average altitude at which you were flying. Yeah. Are there any questions at the moment regarding this feature?
Not that particular feature. There was a question about, can I bulk upload flights to WeGlide if I want to move
yes,
my
you
flights
can.
from
So if
somewhere
you go,
else to WeGlide?
yes, you can. So if you go to upload, you can, like, if you click on drag IGC files here, you can select like multiple flights, even 50 files in there, and upload them all together.
And if you have all your IGC logs uploaded to some online location, you're going to have to download them from that location into a folder or something, and then you can drag them all at once. I have done that.
Yeah,
and it does work quite well.
There's one suggestion actually. So we try our best to use your like file to find out the aircraft type, but sometimes we are wrong. And for the second flight, we use the information which you have associated with your flight on the previous flight where the logger was used. So if you enter like one aircraft kind and registration previously, we use that for the next flight. So if you want to upload like 100 flights, maybe just upload 1 or 2 in the beginning, check that the aircraft type is correct, and then afterwards drag the remaining 98 files there just to make sure that we don't have to update the aircraft information in all of these 100 flights.
Is there a way to change your weight in flight if you dumped your water?
There is none yet. We are thinking about adding this.
Okay, and then the other part was, once you enter your weight for a flight, which you do through the coach window, if you put in the wrong weight, can you change it, or is that a permanent?
Yes, so let me just go back to my flight here by just clicking on that. So you can always do that. Just click on the pen icon here, and we'll take you to the edit page, and there you can edit some information about your flight. You can edit the weight and more.
Excellent. So you can change your aircraft type and all that other stuff. But if you did a bulk upload, if you're going to do a bulk upload, you might want to do it for all the flights that had the same airplane, as opposed to all, if you had multiple airplanes you were flying.
Yes, so this was a statistics list, so you can use that to filter for interesting flights to compare with, maybe from the same day or from someone else. Maybe just filter for yourself or some other guy who's also flying the same aircraft. This is something I do you do a lot because I filter for my flight. And then there's one other guy from my airfield who's also flying the same glider. I just filter for him, and then I also filter for the aircraft. And this allows me just to if I go to statistics here, to compare how differently we are flying the aircraft, because we have different styles. He circles a bit wider, but he's a really good pilot. So this allows me just to understand what I do differently to others, which is the first thing for me to improve my flying. So this is regarding statistics list. I do want to go over the ranks shortly, because this is also important for if you gain points, you want to compare yourself to others. And there are lots of possibilities to compare yourself to others. So if I click on ranks, we displayed different like rankings. We have global rankings here, where we have the free ranking, the sprint ranking, out and return ranking, and a special travel by glider ranking. There are also national rankings. This is one for Germany. We have one for Switzerland, Poland, and Australia, and South Africa. And there are also leagues which we host, where you can also see the league rankings here. But if we go back to global, which are most important to pilots from the US, you can see here the best flights from the best 5 flights from all pilots grouped together. You can hover on them to see a preview image, and you can see the ranking. So a German guy, Reinhard Schrammer, who's flying in Bitterwest, Namibia at the moment, is leading. So this is for the 2024 season, so which has just started 1 month ago. So I'm just going to click on 2023 here. And then I see the pilot ranking from last year. We can see Gordon won that by a lot because he did some really big flights. And here again, I have lots of filter options. So I could say I'm just interested in all the flights from the United States, and then I see the ranking for that. Or I could say, well, I want to know like the ranking from all the flights in Arizona, or I want to like have the ranking for all flights in Texas or something else. Like, or you could say I'm just interested in like comparing to all the guys from my club, so Soaring Club of Houston, for example, and then you would see the ranking just from all the guys from your club to see who's placed on top. So these are the filter options which you have here. So we do have the pilot ranking, but you can also click. I'm just going to head to the United States again on total, and then this is like a sum of all your flights, and you can see who's flown the most last season. So you can see the total points and the total kilometers and number of flights. And you can also click on club total here to see like which club has uploaded the most flights and gained the most points. Or you can have a look at from which airports in the States there were the most points. And then also we do have a club ranking. So what it does, it takes basically from 3 pilots from your club, it takes the best flight. So this is like a bit of a team challenge, and then it sees who places on top. So just going back to pilot, which takes your best 5 flights. You also have the possibility to filter for the class. So you could say, I'm only interested to see all the US pilots flying in 18-meter class, or I'm only interested to compare to all the US pilots flying vintage gliders. And there's some really nice flights here. This is magnificent for vintage gliders. And you could also say, I want to filter for women, juniors, or flights in summer and winter. So these are the filter options. And you could also say, well, I don't really care about the free. I'm not the kind of guy who flies the whole day. I'm interested who flies the fastest 2 hours, and then get the ranking for that for the States here. So lots of different options which you have. Andy, how are we doing on questions?
See, there's some very specific questions. I think we just follow with people. There was a question about how you get real-time cloud pictures on your phone while flying. You do need to have a cell connection, so that's like step 1.
And then what you do is you open up WeGlide Live and Flight. So I don't have time to go into WeGlide Live today in detail. Maybe we'll have another webinar for that, but there you can click on satellite images, and what happens is it just loads the recent satellite images. So while it's night here in Europe, you can see there's some pilots flying in the States. And then you do see the satellite picture, which looks quite nice over here.
Yep.
Yes, this is how you do that. So maybe just going back to some social features to finish off. So I talked about the option if you head to some people's profiles. So for example, Andy, if I'm just going to your profile and click on, so we've now got the filter applied. If I click on your name here, it will lead me to your profile. I could message you here to write you a message, but I can also click follow. And then I will get like all your flights in my feed. So the feed is like, if I go to the homepage here, I can click flights of my friends here, or feed on the left-hand side. And it displays like 2, which tells me there have been 2 new flights from my friends, which is nice because like there are days in Germany where you have 1,000 flights or something, so you won't find all the flights that interest you if just a mate of you uploaded a 100-kilometer flight. And you can just click on here, and it will just show you the flights from people you follow, the most recent ones on top, and you can just scroll through your feed and just comment directly or like a flight directly here. Or you could also get some suggestions for people which you can maybe follow, which is based on your social graph.
Yeah, and I get notifications. I get notifications on my phone when people I'm following are flying or have posted a flight. 2 quick things. One was I'm not sure you addressed we've gotten the question again. Can you search for a specific pilot in the ranks page?
Okay, right. So you cannot do that at the moment. So I cannot enter my name here, but if you know my club, you can enter my club, and then you will see my flights from this season or my flights from last season here. But you cannot search for a particular pilot at the moment.
Okay, so that might be something for the backlog. And then the other thing maybe we should do is since you brought up my page, maybe we could do a quick comparison. And if people are willing to go a little bit longer, we did provide for more time. Maybe you could do a contest flight comparison, because I think, yeah, there's a contest.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So here we have this flight of you from the US 80-meter championship, day 7. And so you can see you've got lots of wingmen. So we show the most important ones on top here. You could select more wingmans to see more. But also here, the task was entered as a local competition, which is great because then here you can see directly from your flight the local competition. I could click on it, and it would display the competition on the map and show me like the part of your flight in the competition. But we could also have a look on the ranking, like who else was flying that task from the day.
So you clicked on just for the user interface, you clicked on the ranking right down in that little window there. And that takes you to a different user interface where you've got in the lower right, map, list, statistics. So some different options for looking at the flight compared to other people who flew out of that airport on that day.
Yes, so we are basically in the list view now, but just filtered for the task and all the statistics optimized for the task. So we can see who flew the task the fastest, and we can also see, when everybody was starting and the track which everyone did. So you placed 6th on that day, I think, at least from the people who uploaded to WeGlide.
Yeah, it wasn't my best.
So, so what we could do now is we could have a look at the statistics, right? And then we can see all the statistics from the people flying the task on that day, and like we could have a look what Thomas, who won that day, did particularly good, or like for yourself maybe what you did good and where your statistics were good. So like I see here your glide ratio is in green, so you managed to find really good lines between the climbs, I think. But at the same time, you also had more detour than others, so maybe it took a bit more time, and you were flying a bit slower between thermals than others did. So Thomas was flying a bit faster between thermals.
Yeah, I got in trouble. I got in trouble that day. And
so what also stands out to me here is so like you said, you got in trouble. So like Thomas only had 1% of attempts on that day, but yeah, that number is a bit higher for you. But so maybe this is something where you lost some time on that day, right?
Yep, I did. I got low on the fourth leg. So it does show.
So what I think Biff was doing really good. This also stands out to me. So in each thermal, he gained an average of 510 meters per thermal, and this is obviously very good if you find a good thermal and you take it all the way from the bottom to the top, and you don't always stop like every 5 minutes to go for thermal. So this is also marked in green. This is really astonishing. But then it also does stand out that the JS3s, you probably were flying quite heavy, but like the other JS3 here, Peter and then also yourself had quite a big training radius, but maybe it's also okay in these conditions where thermals are like, I don't know about thermals in Garner, how wide they are.
It's Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yep. So this is nice for competitions because you can compare like how you did and like to others, and this also comes free with the SSA benefits. So maybe one last thing, which is because we talked about lots of like serious rankings and analysis features, but also WeGlide is lots about fun and interacting and just keeping the motivation for flying high. And if I go to my profile, so one thing which we introduced at the beginning of the season is badges and the level system. So if I just click here on level 2, you can see that I can select different badges for different kind of stuff. So like this is stuff like achieve 110 speed points on a single flight, fly more than 8 hours, or start before 9 a.m. locally, or gain more than 600 meters with a winch launch. There are like lots of different badges for outlandings, for very strong thermals, but also like for winning a day, for flying different gliders from different manufacturers, for flying consistently, like at least 1 month, one flight per month for 6 months in a row, and so on and so on and so on. And the ones which I have collected already are like displayed in bright, and the other ones are grayed out a bit. And as I collect badges, so every 10 badges I collect, I go up 1 level. So I've got 11 badges, which places me in level 2, and I see I need 9 more badges to get to the next level. And then I can also click on, for example, the sprinter badge, and you can see here I've got 3 different badges stacked on top. This is because there are actually 5 levels to this badge, so different number of speed points which I need to achieve. So I've got the first 3, and I want to get the next 2 as well at some point. And I can just cycle through badges and have a look at who's already received that. So for example, this one, flying in circles, which you get for circumnavigating different airspaces of major airports. And I can see here, okay, this German guy, he's already surrounded 6 different major airports. So yeah, this
Morris,
is
a quick
really,
question on how to display a task with your flight was one question.
Okay, right, yeah. So just going back to my flight. So if you have declare a task online, for example, here you just click on the task and it shows up. This is either the task in the IGC file, or if you do declare a task online. So what you can do is we have a task section here. You can have different tasks, and you can click on a task which you have planned. And then you could say, okay, I have this task and I want to declare it online. And you could say, I want to declare it for today or tomorrow. And then it's automatically declared online. And this task, if you achieve it, will then show up here with your flight.
Excellent. And then, is there an instructor badge? That's another question.
So there's one for 10 short traffic circuits. So this is maybe something which you get as instructor.
Okay. Who can create segments?
Okay, right. So I think we're getting through lots of different topics right now. So maybe I'm just going to finish off one, and then we can briefly talk about segments. So we initially got started on the badges. So I'm just finishing on that. So you can gain these different badges. There's also one for flying with different people. So if you fly with 10 different people, you get one. So might also be something for an instructor. And if you go to a feed or a flight, you can also see those different badges here. So you can see if someone has achieved these badges. And then one thing which I forgot to show you when we talked about lists. So for example, if I go to the daily list and I click on the first flight, then you see these arrows up here, and they allow me to cycle through all the flights from the recent list which I had. So this is the best flight from today. And if I go here now, I click on it, I have the second best flight from today, and now the third best. And they basically work with every list. So if I go to the flights and I just select my flights again, and then I select my flights from a particular airport, and then I click on the first flight here, I can now cycle through all the flights which I had just opened in the list. So this is really nice if you want to look at all the different flights without going back to the list each time. So yeah, maybe we can now quickly go to segments. So you can see that down here on this flight, I was flying in a segment called Morning Run, which is in Namibia. So what segments are? They are predefined tasks, which you get scored on automatically. And these tasks are basically without a turning point. So you can see it on the map right now. They just have a start and finish line, which are 20 kilometers wide in each direction. And you go through them and you get scored on them. And you can click on the ranking. And then you can see for this segment who was the fastest of all time. So you can see here, the segment is 168 kilometers long. It's been flown 310 times. And then you can see the pilots which were the fastest on the segment. The flight where also you can hover on the flight to see it on the map. And you can also filter by different stuff. So you can select in which direction you want to filter, or filter by who's flown it the fastest, the earliest, or the latest on a particular day. Or you could also say, I'm only interested in people from my club which has flown this segment, so I can see all these flights. So this is also, I think, for beginners and also experienced pilots, a fun thing to try to beat your own record on a particular segment. We do have some for the United States at the moment. If I'm just going to segments here and just scrolling through the states, but we are looking to add more. So if you have suggestions for segments, we are a bit picky because we only want them to have for popular routes, but you can write us suggestions, and based on the flights which we already have in our system, we will check if it's indeed a popular route. Yeah, so maybe this is regarding segments. And actually, I think this is mostly now we've covered all the main points which I wanted to talk about. Just checking if there are still any open questions.
I was just answering a question about how you create turn point collection.
Yeah, I mean, we can also talk about the task planner. I'm just not sure how we're doing on time.
Let's see. How many people do we have on still? 100. So if people want to keep going, Moritz, if you have time, yeah, why don't you cover the task planning?
Is there anything else we would like to cover after that?
Oh, is there a time limit on how long after you upload the flight that you can edit the aircraft type?
So you normally have 2 days to do that.
All right. And so if somebody made a mistake, and they can send a support call, email.
Yeah, so basically maybe just looking on the task planner, you can set up different tasks. You can click on new task. You can select waypoints. So I don't have a waypoint collection at the moment. We do have default waypoints, but you could also say, I want to create a new collection. You would enter like some weird name, and then you would click on create. Then you have this collection here. You can click on edit. I'm just going to go to my profile, my waypoint collection. There it shows up. And now I can click edit here. And I can either drag a cap file here to upload waypoints, or I can actually just select them on the map if I want to do that to add them. And I could then use these waypoints when planning a task, but I'm just switching to the default waypoints again. So it's really easy to plan a task. If you want to do a triangle, you will see the triangle sectors on the map. It really takes just a couple of seconds. You will see the distance here. You can select different turn point types, and here you will talk about log competitions on a different webinar, I guess. But you could just hit save, and then you could declare that task if you want to declare it online. And you, like per default, you see here my task, but you can also have a look at all the other tasks which are in the system. And if there's a pilot who's like, I can maybe have a look, Andy, if you've already entered some tasks, and then I would see like the tasks which you have entered, and I could also declare your tasks online. So I'm not only limited to my tasks. Yeah, so this was a very quick introduction to the task planner, but yeah, I think we're really quite late, so I think I will maybe stop with the task planner.
Okay, if there are other questions, we still have a number of people online. Please go ahead and type in a question if you got one. We do have a little bit more time if people are interested. It's a lot to absorb. It's a very full-featured set of capabilities. And there are, maybe you could go to where the some of the online resources are for just explaining how to use features.
Okay, yeah, so this is docs.weglide.org, so I can scroll all the way to the bottom, and then it will, yeah, I can click on instructions or contest rules, and it will take me to the docs where I can find more resources if I want to know more about any feature.
Excellent. Question about downloading tasks from WeGlide to various flight computers. You can directly download to XCSOR at the moment, and there's some conversations ongoing with LXNav and with Navigator.
Yeah, you can also download to LXNav, and we're working together with LXNav to improve that. And if you also want to download it to CU, this is not implemented yet, but you can write CU and ask for the feature, and maybe they will implement it soon.
Yeah, so there is a user interface, and the folks who have your various gliding who make your various gliding instruments need to just go to that external user interface or application interface where there's an API that they can program to directly download flights. But if you've created a task in WeGlide, it is available for download. It just needs to be implemented by your friendly glide computer maker. The workaround for Navigator right now is that you would create a task, and then you could put it in the the CU cloud. But you'd have to do that. You'd have to move that over by making a cup file and then moving it over. It's we're trying to work through that so that it's all available online. The other way is in contest. If it is a contest that's scored with CU, if it's a competition scored with CU, those would end up on Soaring Spot. But that's typically more used in Europe at the moment. But we're also working through that, how to do that. How do I get to the current view option? I'm not sure what that is. How long does it take to get a premium subscription? So you can actually go, you can go click on it and upgrade your subscription online. And the way you do that is you just go select it. And if I were an SSA member, actually, if this were my page, it would be, there you go. I don't have to, it would show the pricing for the SSA member. So you can just go to the plans page, weglide.org/plans, and you can click on the plan that you want, and that'll create the upgrade workflow. long as you take a premium, so you should be able to do it. 4-flight FLARM license. 4-flight Sentry, flight log, similar, compatible to IGC. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand that. How soon, once you make a premium subscription, how long does it take you guys to process it, was the question, I guess.
Okay, right. So normally it should take like a couple of minutes. So it's all automatically, so it should work within minutes. If it does not, you can write us an email.
info@weglide.org will get you a support response. If you signed up for premium and you didn't get it within like same day at worst, then you should definitely send them a support request. Do you have plans to add radar imagery along with satellite imagery? That's from Walt, who knows where to get you radar imagery in the US.
Yes, we are looking into this. We have the satellite images from SkySat, so it would probably make sense to also get this from SkySat and not do it directly, but I agree it would be a good addition.
They're pretty quick at implementing stuff, so so Walt's in contact with Matthew Scudder. Maybe we can get a 3-way conversation going with Walt on what's the best way to do it and whether Matthew would do it, so that you can work with him. So we'll take that offline. Another one. Oh, if you want to activate your premium, apparently you have to log out and then log back in, and it's there. So nice tip. Other questions? As fast as people can type. All right, if there aren't any other questions, there will be additional topics covered. There is going to be a webinar upcoming there's going to be one on the 14th on cross-country, on getting going with cross-country. There will be some WeGlide related content in that, but it's going to be much more around the kind of local cross-country. How do you get cross-country flying going in your club? I believe that's on the 14th. And then in the first week in December, there is going to be how to set up local competitions. That will have more detail about how you set up local contests using WeGlide, using the premium subscription that clubs have available to them. So be on the lookout for invites for those if you're interested, or if you want your the folks who kind of are more involved in racing in your club, or the club leadership, they should participate in that. Look out for those in the future. In the interim, we would love people to go activate their subscriptions, their SSA benefit, and play around with it and give us feedback. We would love to hear feedback. I know the WeGlide guys would love to hear feedback. And then we're looking at how to extend the program for many years into the future. So, but your feedback's really important to that.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks everyone for being here. It's really nice to connect, and as Andy said, we really appreciate feedback. And we try to implement everything as soon as possible. Obviously, we have a big backlog of features which we are working on, but we do have 3 times working on it full time, and then like a couple of more people doing like other stuff. So we are really looking forward to extending all the current functionality.
Yep. There was a question about how one other question. I don't. Somebody said, do you support the Zoleo satellite tracker? I don't even know what that is. So I'm not sure. And then Frank, remind me, I think there is a feedback email address, and I don't remember what it was. I don't know if you remember, but if we don't have it immediately available, we'll make it when we post this webinar. We'll make sure that people know.
I don't know a specific feedback address now.
I think there is one that was set up through at SSA.org. I just don't remember what it was. People can also send feedback to me at 9bravo@comcast.net. That's NINEBRAVO @comcast.net. If you have feedback, feel free to send it to me, and then I'll get you the official SSA feedback email address as well. Apologies, I didn't have that handy. Lots of nice compliments. Moritz, well done. Thank you for making the time. I know it's nighttime. Appreciate everybody doing this in the middle of the day on a weekend. That's the only time the time zones align so that we could get Moritz on at a time where we also had didn't have everybody at work. So appreciate you doing that on Sunday. So off to the rest of your weekend. Thank you guys. Thanks everybody.
See you guys. Bye-bye.